Orange, do you have time to read me another story?
Yes, yes. My big brother. Some boys like to talk about their dogs. Some boys like to talk about cowboys and Indians and things like that. But Jim Winters didn't. He liked to talk about his big brother. The minute Jim moved to White Fence Farm, he started to talk about Joe.
What's White Fence?
It's like this. Fence. White Fence Farm was on the way from Miss Lizzie's house to the big woods. As soon as Jerry and the other boys heard that someone new was coming to live there, they remembered that they had to go to the woods right away. So they started off on the run. "Where to now?" asked Miss Lizzie as she looked at them over the garden wall. "To the woods. It's something important. We can't wait a second," called Jerry.
What's the garden wall?
This right here. But when the boys got to White Fence Farm, the important thing was forgotten. They took their time and looked to see who was moving in. At last, they saw what they were looking for. A skinny boy with long legs, who looked very much like themselves. "I'm Jim Winters, and I'm going to live here always," said the new boy. "You should see my big brother. He can play baseball better than anyone in your town. Every time he plays, he makes a home run." "Oh, you are just talking," said Jerry. "There are 100 baseball players in this town, and any one of them is better than your brother." "You just wait and see," said Jim. "In the town we came from, Joe played football. He was the fullback and the captain too."
What's the fullback?
One of the players in the football team. "Oh, he was not. I don't believe it," said Paddy. "Show us your big brother." "All right, I will," said Jim. "I'm not afraid. Joe is out on his pony now, and I tell you, it is a wild pony too." "Oh, it is not. Your father would not have a wild pony on his farm," said Bobby. "Just you wait and see," called Jim as he started off to find Joe. "You had better get out of the way when that pony begins to buck." All the boys followed Jim on the run. When they came to the south pasture, there was Joe and the pony. Joe had turned the pony out to graze while he mended the fence.
What's graze?
Eat grass.
What's mended?
Mending would be to repair the fence. "Hello, boys. Where did you come from?" asked Joe when the boys ran up to him. Something in Joe's jolly smile and the way he called them fellows made Jerry and the other boys think that maybe Jim was right after all.
I think that means fellows is down here also.
Okay, when he said, "Hello, fellows." Okay. Maybe Joe was as wonderful as Jim thought he was. And oh, that pony! He was brown and white. His coat was as smooth and shiny as could be. He had a beautiful tail. Maybe it was no longer than any other pony's tail, but it looked longer. He seemed friendly enough while he was eating grass, but when Joe called, "Here, Bang! Here, old fellow," the boys saw that Jim was right a second time. Bang looked like a wild pony. There was fire in his brown eyes as he walked up to Joe. His ears were flat back on his head. He was doing his best to look mean.
What does mean?
Angry. Joe laughed a big jolly laugh. "You old rascal," he said, "you are just trying to show off."
What does show off mean?
Pretend or act up or
Okay.
you want the boys to think that you are wild, but you are not wild, and I know it. Then Joe gave Bang a good hard slap. "Stop it, Bang, stop it," he said. "I mean what I say, old fellow." In a second the fire was gone from the pony's eyes. Up went his ears, and he looked as if he could never be mean, not even if he wanted to be. The only time Bang makes trouble is when he thinks he can get his own way, said Joe, as he turned to the boys. "Make him buck, Joe, please," cried Jim. I know the boys. I told the boys he would, but they would not believe me.
What does buck mean?
This picture here, come up on his hind feet, leave the ground. "Would not believe you? Well, I declare," said Joe. Come on, Bang. Show them what a bucking pony can do. Keep out of the way of his heels, boys, and hurry up about it, too." Joe jumped onto the pony's back and started him on a trot across the pasture.
What does trot mean?
A slow run, running slowly. For a time all went well. Jerry was just going to say, "He isn't a bucking pony after all. Anyone can ride him," when bang! Down went the pony's head and out went his back legs. That pony bucked. Oh, how he did buck. "See, I told you. That is how it happens, with a bang. That is why Joe calls him Bang," shouted Jim. "Do it again! Do it again!" shouted all the boys together. So Joe did it again, and then again. The boys wished that he would never stop. But Bang was Joe's pony, and Joe knew the very minute Bang began to grow tired. "Enough for today," said Joe as he jumped down from the pony's back. He stood with his arm around the pony's neck and talked to the boys. "What makes him buck?" asked Jerry. "Just because I want him to," answered Joe. He learned how about a year ago. You see, Jerry, I gave him the sign. He won't buck for everyone, just for me.
What does sign mean?
What? Oh, come on. A sign?
Mhm.
It's a signal. Sign, did you say? What sign? Oh, come on, Joe. Tell us what it is, said one boy and then another. I'll never tell, he said. The first thing I know, some of you fellows will be trying it out. Bang knows the sign, and I know, but no one else will ever know until he finds it out for himself. And now let me tell you something, boys, Joe went on. Keep away from this pony. Don't let me catch you trying to ride him. Do you understand? And just from the way Joe said it, the boys understood. In the days and weeks that followed, all that the boys could talk about was Joe and the bucking pony and the sign. The boys never gave up trying to find out about that. Every time Bang bucked, they thought they had it, but they didn't. What do you want to know for? Anyway, asked Joe with a queer little smile at the corner of his mouth.
What does queer mean?
Kind of strange little smile, a different little smile. Bang knows and I know, but we are not telling. So there it ended.